Well, we now know that half of this weekend's matches won't go ahead. In the last minute or so, I've just received an announcement from the Premier League that 4 more games, in addition to that Manchester United-Brighton game that is scheduled for Saturday, have now been called off for this weekend. So that's half of the programme. We know Southampton against Brentford, that was due for Saturday, as well as Watford Crystal Palace, West Ham Norwich as well on Saturday, as well as Everton Leicester on Sunday. They've all been called off due to coronavirus outbreaks at the clubs, which means that we'll in total have had 9 games in 8 days or so postponed due to these coronavirus cases spreading across Premier League clubs. And that's just the status now on Thursday, 2 days out from this round of games, and really reflecting a worsening coronavirus situation in the UK. The fact is there's been a record 88,000 cases recorded in the last day. That was an increase on yesterday's amount, which was also a record, and really reflecting the spread of the Omicron variant, which is causing so much concern and leading to training grounds being closed, and the calls for a complete shutdown, even temporarily, of the league. So much concern across clubs, and indeed, ultimately, of course, the health of the players coming first and foremost.
Absolutely. Do you think the league have decided to postpone those matches you just broke a minute ago due to the pressure from managers such as Thomas Frank?
Yeah, exactly. And he's really, I think, reflecting a lot of the uncertainty over how these decisions are being reached as well. We had Leicester originally asked the Premier League on Wednesday to postpone tonight's game against Tottenham. That request was turned down. It was only this morning when that request was fulfilled and Leicester having to close their training ground. And we discovered a bit more detail from the Premier League, what they take into consideration when assessing if games should go ahead. And it's not only the outbreaks within clubs, but also the risk of wider infection too, of these people coming into contact with others at the grounds they're playing or oppositions. And there are new stricter coronavirus regulations in place from this week. Daily tests for players. They have to take the lateral flows in their cars before even getting into the access to the training grounds, and twice weekly PCR tests as well. So the most ever seen during the pandemic in terms of testing at Premier League clubs. And of course, as it stands now, the 5 games that will be played this weekend will have full stadiums, because there are currently no restrictions on capacities, unlike, say, we've seen in Germany, despite the fact the government is advising people generally to avoid contact that isn't deemed essential social contact.
And it's not just football in England being affected so badly, is it? We're hearing more positive tests at Real Madrid. What's the latest there?
Yeah, we've had 6 players there testing positive, including Gareth Bale, Luka Modric, as well as one of Carlo Ancelotti's assistants. And that's really showing how the situation is spreading. What's quite interesting in Spain is there is high take-up of vaccinations for players. Just some details that gained today are the fact that actually, around 93% of players in La Liga are fully vaccinated. Another 4% have got antibodies. Compare that with English football, and we discovered from the EFL today, covering those 3 leagues below the Premier League, only 2/3 of players are fully vaccinated, and 1 in 4 say they're not going to get jabbed. The latest Premier League figures we have on vaccinations are actually still from October, which was also saying that only 2/3 of players were fully vaccinated, and no update since then. Yet the Premier League is encouraging players not only to get vaccinated, but to get their booster shots as well, something Jurgen Klopp has particularly been pushing, and a message also from the UEFA President Alexander Ceferin speaking today, encouraging players to get jabbed, saying he believes in the science while accepting it is still a personal choice.
Rob Harris there from the Associated Press. Thank you very much for your insight. Now, Rob just mentioned there the president of UEFA.